Well, after a very, very long time, guess what's back? If you didn't know it, I own an E92 M3 and have for over a year now. And this car came with a lot of problems, but with a cheap price, and also the world's worst paint job. This M3 had been sitting for years, was in non-running condition, and when I got it running, it's got some noises. I can't tell what that noise is. We can tell when we get it up in the air. It doesn't sound good. I paid just 10 grand for the car, hoping that the S65 in it was good. So the first thing I did was remove the subframe, inspect and replace the rod bearings. And this was my first ever rod bearing job. However, I noticed no terribly abnormal wear on the rod bearings, so I wasn't sure what that noise was you heard earlier, where it was coming from or what was causing it. Another reason for the rod bearing replacement is the previous owner told me it had low oil pressure, but he still drove it a short distance afterwards. So either way, I wrapped up the rod bearing job and got the car back together and almost ready for its first drive. Same sound as before. The drivetrain noises didn't change at all after the rod bearings, but the engine seemed to be running really well. However, the brakes were too far shot to drive this thing safely on the road, so my next step was replacing them entirely. Rebuilding the calipers, new pads, new lines, new rotors, new fluid, and they turned out really nice. Ignoring the destroyed suspension, I took it for its first drive and all went well. Other than the disgusting hacked up exhaust that was on there. Even though it sounded pretty good because it was straight piped, it looked horrendous. So in came Turner and their beautiful rear exhaust section that's valved. And getting the old hacked exhaust off and the new exhaust installed was a total breeze, and it sounded fantastic. Valves open or closed. And while filming the final clips for the new exhaust, the unthinkable happened. From this clip here, you can hear and tell that it went boom. It was a big boom. Oh no. I didn't make it, so I had to actually push the car up. You can see the engine malfunction light came on, well, immediately after it exploded. Yep, there she went. With my tail tucked between my legs, I pushed the car up the hill and then down the hill into my driveway before inspecting it fully and admitting defeat. Yeah, there's the piston and what's rest of it. There is part of the rod. There's a journal. Oh boy, this is fantastic. While I felt defeated, I wasn't going to give up on this car just yet, so the strip down began. Donald and I got the S65 out, the entire drivetrain out, though it was no easy task.
Crank it up. Stand by. Man, that's f***ed up.
I've got to admit, that was the worst engine removal I've ever been a part of, and I think that's mainly because I don't have a two-post lift. Dropping the subframe with the engine attached is the right way to do it. But next up, time to rip the oil pan off and see what happened. It looks like a little bit of rod in there. There's a bit of rod there. There's a bit of rod there. So what caused this failure? And after stripping out the engine, I stripped the body off the car to send it off to the body shop. Well, honestly, I don't want to be known as the YouTuber that doesn't finish cars. Plus, these cars are only going up in value. They are the only V8 M3 ever produced, and likely will be the last as well. And here it is, over a year later, back at home with a fresh paint job that's not cut and buffed or completely done yet, but it's ready for a new S65 to go in there, which, if you don't recall, I picked up a couple months back. I grabbed this used S65 from Facebook Marketplace for $6,000, and it came complete with pretty much everything except the clutch and flywheel, but then again it was out of an automatic. And you can see what happened with the old engine right here. So I'm obviously excited to get back to work on the E92, but I think I'm equally as excited to get this freaking engine out of the way. It's been blocking all the progress on the E30. So the bad news is, got to swap the wiring harnesses on the engine because that came from an auto, and I think it's different than the manual. 1, 2, 3. Do it. Oh, hell yeah! That's a good engine. Anyone want to buy this? Nice.
You did almost all that.
I did nothing. I already had most of the engine wiring harness off the old engine, so that was a breeze getting the rest of that off. The next step was getting that installed on the new engine, but of course we had to take the old wiring harness off, get the new one on, and then I also had a brand new twin disc clutch flywheel set up to install as well.
You can lock the flywheel in place. I don't think a pry bar is the right tool for that job. You're putting unnecessary pressure on the bosses. Yeah, I always put unnecessary pressure on the bosses. That's why they give me bad yearly evals.
For reasons totally unknown to me, some of my viewers think I dress like a slob. Weird. These are the same guys that probably think I never use a torque wrench. You see, sometimes I make myself look at least slightly presentable and use a torque wrench. And if you'd like to get the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn, you've got to check out Into the AM. Plus, they're having a huge 4th of July sale. You can get their super comfy jeans like this, or just a nice plain comfy t-shirt for up to 60% off. Plus, I've got an additional discount link in the description box. Into the AM has tons of clothing items, whether you like graphic tees, plain tees, V-necks, jackets, you name it. They've pretty much got all your bases covered at a good price, and their stuff is really, really comfortable. So if you want to look better than dirty, disgusting mechanic Matt, I suggest you go to intotheam.com. Check out the link in the description box. I've got an additional discount link for you guys. Big Independence Day sale.
My name's Matt. I pull the trigger before it's even seated in the socket.
Despite Donald's wonderfully off-color comments, the engine is ready to go in the car. But is the car ready for the engine, and is Mother Nature ready? I don't think we're going to do it out here. Are we ready, Donald? A year later.
Hold on, you caught me off guard.
You know, I could have just said what came to mind.
Which is what?
I'm drunk.
I'm pretty certain that almost everyone in the comments right now, you're all probably screaming the same thing. So yes, I'm aware that replacing the rod bearings now would be a lot easier than when the engine is in the car. Along with things like valve cover gaskets, coil packs, oil pan gasket, obviously, and other maintenance related items like that. However, let me explain. All of those things sound fine and dandy. It sounds like a good time. However, the last time I replaced rod bearings on an S65, it didn't go so well. Now, whether that was my fault or the engine's fault is up for debate. I think that engine was foobar regardless. But I'm treating this engine a little bit differently. Basically, I want to do this in a couple stages. And having this car sitting without an engine in it has been extremely stressful and really annoying. So really what I want to do is just get the freaking engine and transmission in the car and get it running and driving and deal with rod bearings and crank bearings down the road. Now, am I going to regret that? Perhaps, but apparently this engine was pulled from a running and driving car with no issues whatsoever. So I'm really hoping that that's the case. And if it's not, I'll find out pretty soon and pretty much right after I get it to start for the first time, if and when I get it to start for the first time. So please, for the time being, guys, don't hammer me too much for not replacing the rod bearings and crank bearings. I just want to get the freaking engine in the car and go from there, one step at a time. And thank you for coming to my tool cleanup TED Talk.
1, 2. I need to get the legs. Hold on.
What are you talking about, legs?
The legs, Matt. What do you think I mean by legs?
Should I kick it over?
The legs.
I love down Baton Rouge. Hurry up.
Roll it out.
Talk to my girls just one more time.
If it wasn't obvious, at this point in the video, the garage sodas were kicking in.
Matt, this is something you're not familiar with. It's called finesse.
Yeah, you are right. You couldn't be more right. Getting an S65 in the car this way took an incredible amount of finesse, and it was really, really frustrating. In and out it went. Also, the ground wire was broken on the old motor from me and on the new motor from, well, whoever removed it. So Donald got a new one whipped up, and we could install that because it's obviously not going to run without it. All right, subframe is in. That was such a pain. I remember taking that thing out and that sucked, and putting it back in sucked way worse, and we even left the tranny off to make it easier. But at least it's in, it's bolted in, the subframe's bolted in, the motor and motor mounts are bolted in. It's just a whole bunch of hoses and wiring and transmission and all that other fun stuff before I can try to fire it up. And as suspected, getting this engine in the car made an incredible mess in my small garage. There's bolts and nuts and screws everywhere, tools scattered about, oil all over the floor, but the S65 is bolted in. However, the tranny is not, and the transmission is in really, really rough shape. So first thing up, I got to get that thing cleaned up. And I can finally get this engine hoist put away for good, though I don't think I'm ever going to find that cotter pin again. This thing is insanely heavy. That'll be fun installing by myself. I do have to admit, guys, it's almost 11 at night, and this is the last thing I want to be doing, but I got to get this transmission in. I think the rest of the car will kind of go together smoothly. I think this is the third time in the last year I'll be installing a transmission alone, laying on my back, and it's the absolute worst job. I'd rather do anything to a vehicle than this. Mother. But perseverance and some good music helped me get this thing up in there. It took longer than I'd like to admit, but even with the twin disc, it went in decently smoothly. It was just really tight because the drive shaft was still in there, the exhaust is still there. I think a 2-post lift would have made this a relatively easy job. Guys, I do apologize that a lot of this was in a time lapse, but when I do these projects that are a pain and I'm laying underneath a car, which you guys know I absolutely hate, like I've just got to zone out and jam out. Another while you're in there is rebuilding the shifter, and I'm not rebuilding it to stock. I got the upgraded Turner shift kit with a DSSR and all the bits to make this thing feel even better than new. Plus it has a good bit of adjustability. Let me show you the process or the progress so far. So I've got pretty much the whole exhaust down because I had to get the center carrier bearing out of the way, to get the drive shaft down, to get the tranny up. As you can see, the tranny is in, and the new rebuilt Turner short shift kit is in, drive shaft is in. I just have to put everything else back together, which, I mean, honestly, all the hard parts over, thankfully. And that's a big thankfully, because this just wasn't fun at all, but I'm glad it's pretty much over with. I'm ready to go to the top side of the engine. I'm tired of being underneath it. I stored these parts outside. Well, you guys know why. So they got pretty dirty, so it's time to clean these things up. And also, I forgot just how many coolers, so many parts, and cooling systems are on this car. Power steering cooler, transmission cooler, oil cooler, radiator, and condenser. And they're all separated into different sections. Some are on the bumper and some are on the core support. So that's going to be a whole ordeal getting that installed, I'm sure. I think for now, at least, that's everything on the underside of the car. I'm so glad to get out of here. Definitely have some duplicates here, I think. So I got to figure out what I need and what I don't need. There were indeed many duplicate parts, so I had to figure out all the lines and fittings up here, which was easier said than done. All was going well with the core support until I got to the wiring harness. So I thought I was missing something because I have a plug here and a plug here. They don't go together. Well, turns out it's stuck on top of the transmission. You see all those wires? That's got to go up to that little cubby, and I don't know how I'm going to do that. I'm so close. I'm so close to, like, this thing's like pretty much ready to fire up. Ugh. Back comes out all of the work that I had just done. This is not how I wanted this to go at all. Really? The last one? of course, how did I not see this before? And I don't see it. Hurt myself. Ouch. This stupid car really was fighting me the entire way. I'm battered and bruised at this point, but I'm not going to give up. I've got to get the wiring in this thing to get it to run. Oh, I got it. I got it. This car's a piece of shit. Oh, I'm so into this car. You know, you wouldn't know it by looking at the floor, but there is still oil in this thing that I need to drain. The oil looks good, so that's a good sign. I thought it was drained out, but clearly, really not at all. This engine had been leaking oil since sitting here, and I was about to find out why. Oh, that's great. Some idiot frickin' stripped out the threads. That idiot was not me. This car is just plain stupid. I was not in the mental space to try to fix this oil drain at the time, so I figured I could do the next best thing and clean up this giant mess. At least a little bit. I don't think my garage or myself have ever been more covered in oil, grease, grime, fluid, dirt, everything. It's pretty bad. I mean, it's to the point where I might as well just... gotta sop up the fluid somehow, right? I was really bummed and more like pissed about the oil pan being stripped out, but I tried to look at the bright side. The engine is in, the transmission is in. It's good progress. This has been every bit as awful as I suspected it would be. And just... the cherry on top is the oil drain bolt being stripped. Status update. I'm so close to cranking the key on this thing. I've got to replace this coolant line, which was broken, not from me. I had to finish bolting in all the core support. I had to figure out these wires back here. I don't remember which goes where, because black doesn't always mean ground on a BMW, so I got to figure that out. Hook the battery up. A couple other connectors up here, which God knows what they go to. A big one is I think this is the coolant temp sensor. This pulled out of the wiring and it's down in there, so I don't think I can get to it without pulling the intake manifold off. I wish I could. So intake manifold has to come back off. Then I've got to fix the oil drain bolt problem because that's stripped out, also not from me. Shockingly, I know. Then also these wires, I was confused where these went. Turns out these go down below. So these are the O2 sensor wires and the oil pan sensor wire. So this needs to go down there, just like these wires had to come up here. They were down below, so it's like they were flip-flops. So I got to feed that down and plug that stuff in, and then fill it with oil. Disconnect the fuel pump or the fuel injectors, one or the other. Fill up the cooling system, which leaked last time I had this thing running, so it might leak again. Put the new oil filter in. Fill up the power steering. There's a ton left to do. I got a couple hours worth of work left, but it's I'm on the home stretch. I'm gonna get this thing running today, barring any major setbacks. Drilling into an engine is obviously not the best thing, but I tried to do my due diligence. The threads are back and looking good. Now, I've never used a time cert or helicoil, whatever you want to call this, so this is all new to me. I used some grease on both the drill bit and the tap and try to go at a slower speed to keep shavings to a minimum. I'm also going to change the oil right after this. And it's threading in. My whole worry is it going to hold if I put any kind of torque on it? Oh, wow. I'm going to leave this out. I'm going to dump some junk oil in here just to try to flush out anything else in there. Okay, but yeah, that's a fix. Oh boy, I couldn't have missed any harder. What an idiot. Yep, there's the wire all by itself. I was wondering what that was for, and now it all makes sense. Oh, shoot. The old one's broken off in there. It is just absolutely always something with this freaking car. That's more like it. Since this is ITBs, I'm actually just going to leave the intake plenum, sorry, not manifold, off for the first start to see if I have any issues. Plus, it's easier to disconnect the injectors, all that good stuff, which I might as well just do now. Okay, another thing done. Now I've got to figure out the correct way to feed this part of the wiring down below. All right, I think that's all the wiring buttoned up. Sheesh. Other than, of course, this wiring over here. Also, I didn't realize I could pull the intake air temp sensor right out of the intake manifold, so that's just gonna chill there for the time being. Of course, I don't spill the one thing that doesn't matter, water, but I spill oil everywhere. Please hold oil drain plug. Please hold. Please, please hold. I feel pretty good about that. Cool. So far, nothing's puking out the bottom, so that's a good sign. So very, very expensive temporary oil change. So that's fun. So far, no leaks under here. So that's good. I did forget something though. I don't think I've ever changed or even checked the transmission fluid. So I'm gonna drain that out now and fill that up as well. This thing's getting like a whole service. Oh boy, there's nothing in there. That's not good. So, I mean, it's a good thing I checked. Maybe that's what that screaming noise was the first time I fired this thing up. It's the tranny imploding. It doesn't sound good. And yeah, I should have removed the fill drain first. That was a rookie mistake. I think it's time. Again, a very nerve-wracking time for me is just hooking up the battery itself, because you do one thing wrong and you can mess up a lot of stuff. It is fully charged, so. After letting the car sit for the last year and picking up a used unknown engine, it all comes down to this. Remind me not to open the garage. There's exactly 928 separate things that could go horrifically wrong, but I only have one way to truly find out, and that's to crank this thing over. I never heard this engine run or even saw it in the car that it came out of. That's the kind of risk you take when you buy an engine from Marketplace or really from anywhere, so this is really scary. As a reminder, the injectors are not plugged in. I'm hoping I didn't just blow $6,000. Oh, all right, things are happening in here. Hey! Spinning over very nicely. Clutch feels good. Let's do that again. Well, honestly, guys, I think there's nothing to it but to do it now. Unless I got some major leak or something underneath. Which I don't. It all looks good. Whew. Now, we're in business. Am I nervous? You bet your ass I'm nervous. Oh! Uh-oh, fan hit something. Oh, but that sounded good though. What's going on there, Mr. Fan? Maybe it's just tape or something. That was weird. Actually does look, oh, it's a freaking leaves. There's just leaves in there. Okay, whew, all good. No leaks. Let's try it again. Absolutely everything is gonna freak me out. Engine sounds healthy. No warning about oil pressure or anything. Heck yeah, guys. Heck yeah. She sounds good. It sounds like how a good engine should sound. Oh, I'm so pumped. So pumped! Woo! I let the engine run for a bit and warm up while I looked everything over to make sure I didn't have any leaks or major issues, and there actually weren't any.
Turner exhaust sounding fantastic, of course. Nothing leaking underneath. There's no weird sounds anywhere. She just idled down. Yes! Hell yeah! I don't believe it's even leaking any coolant. Or water, I should say. Whew. The stress this car has caused me over the last year has been astronomical. And for everything to come together and everything is working as it should, the engine sounds good, we don't have any leaks yet, I couldn't be any more thrilled. What do you say we complete this thing? See what some of these codes are and or clear them while we wait for the oil to read. Engine coolant temperature sensor circuit high. Heater control, bank 1, cam set, okay. All right, let's erase them. Okay, that one came back. All right, gotta look into that. And that was there before. I remember there was an O2 sensor code there before, but not the end of the world. We'll get them fixed. We are just a hair low. I also forgot I need to test the clutch, because this is, well, I installed the clutch, and it's a twin disc, so, and I believe I got the clutch pretty well bled, so that's something else I gotta test out. All right, first gear. Oh, hell yeah. Clutch in. Nice. Clutch out. Second. Nice. Doesn't sound like it's gonna blow up.
What a process this has been. A year of this car sitting, searching, and trying to find the right engine, and all the late nights wrenching led to this moment, and it was so worth it.
I'm so pumped and exhausted. It's not quite in drivable condition, as you guys can tell, but next video, it's gonna be driving. It's gonna be running and driving on the road. I mean, it's probably not gonna look like it's done, but it'll be running and driving on the road. Oh, that's great news. It's kind of like the E30. I have 2 wins recently. The E30 started up. Oh my God, it just started up. We'll be ready to drive soon. And the E92 started up and we'll be ready to drive soon. I'm pumped, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you for your patience. I know it's been over a year, but she's back. Mama didn't raise no quitter. So I believe it's a violin, not a horse.
And to get some comfy clothes and jeans at a discount, check out the link I have below for Into the AM.